Hey guys, how y'all doing today? I'm going to try to show y'all something real quick. Aside from the regular car stuff that I've been recording or all these other projects, let me show you something, a quick repair. This is a 2012 Tahoe, and what I got is trans fluid keeps going low, and he doesn't see any leaks anywhere on the driveway. If you look closely, there's a cover in the back of the slip yoke, almost like a freeze plug. That's what is leaking trans fluid out, and it's slinging it all over the body. What we're going to do is we're going to replace that slip yoke and also the U-joint. In order to do that, the first thing we're going to have to do is remove the drive shaft. First thing we do is we mark the drive shaft, the yoke, and the cover. You usually just mark one side and remove the bolts. So with the transmission in neutral, we just use an 11mm to remove the bolts. And then we just stick a pry bar in between here and pry the drive shaft back. Take it out of the yoke. And with the drive shaft loose from the rear end, all we got to do is slide it back off the transmission. So here we have the drive shaft. Nothing special about it, it's just a normal steel drive shaft. A lot of times when we move them around, we'll tape up the U-joints, that way the cups and all the little needle bearings won't come out. This is a good tip. Tape them up instead of having to keep hunting apart. You're going to replace the U-joint with the missing needles. And this is the slip yoke. The reason it's called a slip yoke is because this portion right here is designed to slip in and out of the transmission as suspension travels. If not, it would cause a bind. So it has splines on the inside and it slips in and out of the transmission. And here's some of the other stuff we're going to be using. I might be using my vice grips, definitely be using my pry bars, my hammer, some kind of needle nose to take off the clip. And here we have our new slip yoke. I mean, you can see the cover a whole lot easier there. The cover that's leaking on the other one. And then we have our universal joint. This one has all 4 cups are the same size, and the new retaining clips. So here's the secret of how to install them. We have some kind of spacer that's going to allow the universal joint cup to go through, and we use a cross pin, a used old cross pin off of a rear differential. We use that as a punch. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to remove the retaining rings, and we're not going to take the ones off the slip yoke because we're replacing the U-joint anyways. So we're going to remove the retaining rings off the drive shaft only. You just stick a pocket screwdriver behind it and let it go back home. Where it rides in. The knife is going back into that ridge and it pops out. Now we get into the main part of it. First, you got to find some kind of spacer that's going to let the U-joint ride in there. You don't want something that's going to bind it. So you measure your new U-joint, and this spacer lets it easily go in there. So what we're going to do, you get suitable hard surface. I'm sorry I never mounted this vise. I haven't gotten around to mounting it. Would be easier if it was mounted. Probably gonna have to fight it here. So you kind of line it up. By the way, this is a trick that a really good friend of mine from work showed me. I'm not going to take credit for making this. coming up with this on my own. But Mr. Mata showed me how to do this, so I gotta give him props for it. Get your cross pin. Everything stays lined up. Make sure everything lines up with the cup underneath, the little spacer. Drive it down. As you can see, cup is sticking out now. So we need a vise. So what you do is you pinch the very tip of the cup, enough to where it won't come out of the vise, but enough to where you can stick the pry bars between the drive shaft and the vise. Then you go ahead and tighten up the vise as tight as you can get it. When I first did this, I thought I was going to crush the cup. That cup is hardened steel, and it is not going to crush. Difficult because I don't have the vise mounted. Then get your pry bars. Pry up. And that's what happens. It's free. We don't need the spacer anymore. All we need is a nice hard surface, flat face, hammer and cross pin. Take off one of the cups. Take off one of the cups like this. Take off both. It's no big deal. Make sure it moves freely. Cross pin to drive it down. Put in a new retainer clip. gentle because you're going to be hitting that retainer clip. You don't want to actually break the other retainer clip. You got to be a little bit more gentle on this one. Folds up a little bit, just tap on it, center everything. Same process. Move the cups. Spacer on here. You got to make sure you don't double up your spacer on one cup or you don't lose it. It's better just to put them back in the cups. Just place back in there so you know where they're at. Operation, drive it down enough to where you can see the ridge so you can put the clip in. So there you go. We have a brand new slip yoke and universal joint on this drive shaft. Like I said before, just make sure that everything moves freely. And I like to make sure that the clips are not bowed out or binding extremely hard or even cracked. If all that checks out, then it's time to put it back in the truck.